Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Robert Gibbons. I'm on my Faith Art Walk series, and I always interview very interesting artists and people on my journey. I ran into a beautiful soul. State your name for the audience.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Craig Harris, trombonist, composer.
Hi, Craig. I have many. How was your new year? The first thing.
Is the Nappy New Year is beautiful. We're coming into full effect. We tying up last year, and we're beginning a new, and that's a new solar rotation of the planet. So I'm always. A lot of people are always optimistic at the first of the year, but I'm always optimistic. Period.
Thank you. I have so many questions for you. I just read the biography of, I was just reading some things on Max Roach because we celebrated his birthday earlier this week. And Max Roach came from North Carolina and came to New York. And what has been the journey for you, the Southern journey to New York? Could you just tell my audience a little bit about that?
Well, the Southern journey for me from New York is very different. My great grandmother moved our family from Edgefield County, South Carolina, in 1933.
Wow.
Okay, our family moved north in 1933, and I was born and raised in New York.
Okay.
My mother was born in South Carolina.
Okay. Okay. So.
And raised in New York, and the regular thing. A young person got involved in music when I was 9 years old. 9 years old, I started to play the trombone. I know for the younger people, that's what is a trombone? But and strong musical programs in the school. From there, it kept me focused throughout my life.
But specifically the trombone, what was that moment for you? You were in school and you were in this music program. Did you just see it, or did the music call out to you? What happened there?
I think the music teacher tricked me. Because the first, back then, like when you get around fifth grade, they said, okay, it's time you choose an instrument.
You're right.
And so I think the first day I chose trumpet. For one day I had the trumpet, but so he had to build a junior high school program from fifth to eighth grade.
Right.
So I think all the trombone players were eighth graders.
Right.
And so he told me how long and beautiful my arm was, and that the other kids couldn't stretch their arm.
Yeah.
Like that,
right.
Dealing with my ego.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I played it.
Okay.
And it's big and shiny. So that's how I got to it.
Yeah, it takes a certain gift. I want to talk a little bit about my experience with you. I first heard you perform at Bryant Park one summer, and it was just you on stage, and you all were in these very beautiful African outfits, which I was on stage at Bryant Park. This is in the big stage, the big stage in Bryant Park. And I was like, wow, I want to know who that is, because your work, it teaches too. Talk a little bit about that, because the thing I like about your work a lot is that you have a collaboration with poets and spoken word artists and other people on stage. You share the stage, and I think that's very important. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you talk about you saw that was at Bryant Park. That's the name of that. I'm a trombonist composer, so I write for a lot of different kind of configurations.
Gotcha.
Like one time you might see me is with like 4 string players.
Right.
The next time you might see me is with some brass players.
Right.
Then you might see me with a room of poets.
Exactly.
And that's because I'm a composer too.
I see.
And you saw the incarnation you saw that's called the Nation of Imagination.
That's right. That's right. The Nation of Imagination.
And those costumes were by Wumi.
They were amazing.
Wow. She has her own line.
Right.
She's working for a long time. She's an incredible performer herself.
Right.
And that was a group of people that, that group, man, we have years and years of history in that group. And so that is like a family.
Wow.
And that's how I see like a lot of the people working with me through the years. We become a family. Like, we're a family. And that's where that comes from. And really, if you know me, I worked in my very early years as a musician. I worked with a man named Sun Ra.
Right.
And Sun Ra, so all that things you see about the groups, the costumes, the big stage with poets, dancers.
I love that.
Multimedia.
And
the gobo screens.
Right.
And the screens and stuff. That really, I think he was the first person I saw do that.
Thank you, Craig. That's the thing beyond just my principal area as a poet, but beyond that, I think that you incorporate this different type of theater for the poet. You invite them on the stage with you. I've seen it in many cases. I saw it there, and I also saw it at Gay House. It's just and I think that you really celebrated by your connection to Sun Ra. That's a lot of the work I've read on you has been your connection to Sun Ra. But talk about a little bit about that journey too for you.
Okay, so I was let me see. I went to State University or college at Old Westbury, and they had an incredible teacher there named Maconda Ken McIntyre and Warren Smith. They were teachers, and they were experienced veteran musicians who had been around a long time. And so after I graduated, I remember I was sitting in front of the student union, and one of the professors from the school, his name was Lord Dean Pat Patrick.
Gotcha.
And he said, well, Craig, what you going to do now? I said, I don't know. He said, well, come down to this place. There was a club in New York called The Bottom Line, down in the village called Mercer Street. I think 4th and Mercer. And he said, come down and sit in with Sun Ra's band. And if you know Sun Ra is this person who, he was born 1914 in Birmingham, Alabama. And he couldn't accept this racist society we lived in that sense that he said there must be something more to life than this. So he created an altered destiny. And he said that he was from Saturn. He said, I don't have to be from here. I'm from Saturn. So he created another reality. And he carried us on, and he created an ensemble called the Orchestra. Arkestra. And they were really into, like, I call it total art integration, where poets, dancers, singers, and stuff like that. And it wasn't that he created this, because before him there was a man named Jimmy Lunsford, long before him, that did the same thing. With
I read on Lunsford. I know
the whole
Lunsford.
thing. So Sun Ra came like that. He was like that. So Pat Patrick, this guy, Lord Dean Pat Patrick, was one of the founding members of Sun Ra's band. He said, well, come and sit in with the band. So I'm, June 4th, 1976, I go sit in with the band, and then we finished playing. He said, all right, how you doing, son? I said, okay. He said, listen, you got a passport? I said, I don't have a passport. He said, go get a passport. And I'm saying, well, why? Because, passports cost money. I go, he said, because we're going to Paris next week.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
So I said, this is all right. I graduated like last week.
Right.
I'm going to Paris. I'm on the Champs-Elysees.
That's right.
And what's so funny? It was the Champs-Elysees. We didn't even speak any French. I speak a little bit now. But we just had, it's like a young person. I'm like, we're going to France, and I don't speak. So like when me and my friends, we couldn't speak any French, because they say, meet me at the Champs-Elysees. When he said, man, just meet me at Champ Elijah. we approach it, meet me at Champ Elijah. And that was the beginning of it. And he provided a place for me to play safely, to work out my concepts. And we traveled with a 22-piece band all that summer. And we stayed there. We were supposed to go for 2 weeks. We stayed there for 3 months. And that was my basic into the world of.
Thank you.
The big world.
I'm wrapping this up because I only get 10 minutes, and I want the world to know this beautiful interview. How do my audience contact you or get information? I know you have a website. Could you say some of that stuff right now?
Go to my website, craigsharris.com.
Right.
Okay. You can reach me at Facebook, Craig Harris. You can reach me on Twitter, Craig S. Harris.
Right.
You can reach me on Instagram, Craig Harris. You can reach me on TikTok, Craig Harris. And
everything, all across the social media. You're very accessible. Last question before we close out. Give one piece of information from my audience. One piece of word from my audience before we close out.
Stay true to yourself, and everything will work out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Harris. Thank you, Craig, for this interview.
That work?